Hi folks, it's James here. How are you? Happy New Year to you all. I'm filming this video on New Year's Eve. Hopefully going to try and upload it on New Year's Eve. That's 2019 going into 2020. So hope you all had a great Christmas. Just thought I would do a final update for 2019. Show you some wonderful gifts I've had from a couple of people here on the vinyl community, and also show you my 10 favourite vinyl finds of 2019. And then also show you some books that I've been enjoying, and if I get time might show you a few 45 singles as well, so going to be quite a packed instalment. So Christmas morning I was able to open a wonderful package from Steve Carlson which he sent me a while ago, and this is what the package contained. Lots of Jethro Tull albums, which is incredible because I've never owned a Jethro Tull album in my life until now. So Steve sent me a copy of Heavy Horses. He sent me a copy of Songs from the Wood. Very excited to get these into the collection. Haven't listened to them yet, but will do in 2020. This one is Minstrel in the Gallery. I do see Jethro Tull albums around in the wild, but they're not always at a good price. They're not always in great condition. So just great to get these. Thick as a Brick. I know that's one of their more famous efforts, isn't it? With a wonderful newspaper cover. Love it. This one is War Child. Super. And then finally we have Benefit. So Steve, thanks ever so much. Really excited to get those into the collection, and at some point down the line I'll be doing some reviews and discussions of those records, no doubt. Check out Steve if you haven't already. I'm sure you are doing one of the biggest lights of the VC. And then also two wonderful gifts from Sean Wellen, who lives in North Wales. Sean has a channel called SW Studio Productions. Check it out. Great young chap, knows a lot about music. He sent me the Pet Shop Boys album Please, which I was excited to get. Never owned a Pet Shop Boys album before. I've got a best of CD, but never owned any of their records. I've always liked the Pet Shop Boys, always loved their singles, just never got around to listening to an album. So that's great to get. And then Sean also put this in the package, which is absolutely brilliant. This is the Genesis Spot the Pigeon EP, which I don't think I've actually ever seen this record before. And it's got Match of the Day and Pigeons on it, and Inside Out as well. So Sean, thanks ever so much. Brilliant. So Sean and Steve, I'll leave some links in the comments below. Okay, let's whiz through some books that I've read in 2019. This one I'm actually reading at the moment because I got it for Christmas. This is Elton John and Me, which I've really enjoyed it up until now. You can see how far into it I am. It's quite well written, it's quite funny, quite self-deprecating. My only issue with it, as with a lot of these music books, is that as soon as he makes it big, the book becomes less interesting, because then it just kind of, he's just talking about his drug problems and his personal issues, and it's just like, you know, album tour. As usual, it's the wilderness years of these biographies, which is the most kind of entertaining part, but still, good read. This one I read back in the summer. This was a great book actually. This was Tom Petty, the biography by Warren Zanes, who was in the band the Del Fuegos. That actually was a good book. That really did sustain itself, you know, well beyond and into Tom Petty's later years, and I was quite surprised at what a troubled individual he was, but certainly a great read. I would recommend that unhesitatingly to anybody who's interested in Tom Petty or, you know, American rock music. And this book, I picked this one up at HMV quite a long time ago. It was in 2019. There was an offer and you could get it for half price if you bought a couple of records or something, so I got it. This is David Bowie, The Definitive Story by David Buckley. Unfortunately it doesn't go up to his death. It cuts off quite near his death, but it doesn't get into the kind of final stage of his career. But it was a really interesting book. Great context in here. I learned so much about all aspects of Bowie's career from this, particularly the 80s, which is a part of his career that I don't know much about, you know, the whole kind of, you know, Tin Machine era. Learned about, is it Reeves Gabriel, the guy who was on guitar for Tin Machine, went on to work with Bowie for many years afterwards. and then joined The Cure apparently, which I didn't know. So that book was taken out and about with me a lot. It fell apart, which is always a sign of a book well read. Okay, those are the books. We have some vinyl, because I don't want to drive away the vinyl head. So I'm going to whiz through 10 records that I picked up in 2019. These are my favourite pickups, really. The ones I've been most pleased to get hold of. First of all, I picked up a reissue of the first Elvis Costello and the Attractions album. My Aim Is True. Bought it from an antique centre in North Wales. It seemed to be completely new. I think it might have been in the shrink still. That was a record I've been after for a long time. Got it on CD, but wanted it on vinyl. This next one was a birthday gift. This is the Rolling Stones, Her Satanic Majesty's Request, which I can't believe I'd never owned this album before. Got it for my birthday back in August, and really enjoyed that one. Played it quite a few times. Superb. Some second-hand records, again bought from an antique centre. Was so thrilled to find a copy of Summer Days by the Beach Boys, in beautiful condition. This one bought from my local market stand here in Lancaster. Got the first Black Sabbath album. This is an 80s reissue, but sounds pretty good. Back to the antique centre, over the moon, to find a really nice original copy of Stage Fright by the band. So chuffed to find this one from Bernardo's in Lancaster. Bought for a couple of pounds, I think. Been after this for years. Really nice copy of a collection of Beatles oldies. A record that you do see around, but it tends to be quite battered and not in the best shape. But that's a nice stereo copy of that. This one, I think, was Oxfam. Don't add to the Thin Lizzy collection very often, but I was able to add this one. This is Fighting, which is quite an early one, I think, 1970 something or other. No date on the back, but great album. Showcases Phil Lynnett's more lyrical, melodic side. Wonderful stuff. Picked up a reissue of The Flaming Lips. This is maybe their second album. Oh My God, The Flaming Lips. When I saw the artwork for that, I thought, just gotta have it. This is the Flaming Lips in their kind of earlier Crash Bang Wallop kind of incarnation, just before they started to make inroads into becoming more of a mainstream band. Quite noisy, quite punky, great fun. Second to last, from the Antique Centre, was chuffed to pick up a copy of Town and Country by Humble Pie, which I'd never heard before. Really enjoyed it. Great album. And finally, a record that I didn't even know was out on vinyl. I bought the CD, or in fact I bought the cassette back in the early 90s. This is B.B. King, and There Was Always One More Time, featuring the great song The Blues Come Over Me, and the title track There Was Always One More Time. Quite a smooth album, a few kind of early 1990s production flourishes, but I was just so thrilled to find it in a charity shop. Like I said, I didn't realise it was out, that it had even had a vinyl release, so chuffed to find that, B.B. King. Okay, so before we finish, I'll just go and grab a few 45 singles to show you. Stay right there. So these are in no particular order. Bought these all from charity shops or from antiques centres. This is Get Off by Prince. Quite a few of these have got an 80s theme. Looking for Atlantis by Prefab Sprout. That's from the Jordan the Comeback album. Got a couple of Madness singles. Got Shut Up by Madness. And Wings of a Dove, also by Madness. The Nutty Boys. Grieving by the Style Council. Record I've never owned before, Manic Monday by the Bangles. What have we got here? Pet Shop Boys, one for Sean. What song is this? Where the Streets Have No Name. Picked up a copy of The Living Daylights by Aha. I blame Richard McCook for all these purchases. I'd stopped buying singles, but Richard has shown so many great singles on his channel that it's inspired me to get back into buying 45s again. Level 42, Running in the Family. Between the Wars by Billy Bragg. I bought these kind of all the way through 2019 really, you know, drips and drabs. Captain Sensible, Happy Talk, and another Captain Sensible one, that's a great song, Glad It's All Over. I bought the album that came from, I think last year, perhaps that was this year, that was the Power of Love album. Good stuff. Yazoo, Don't Go, classic 80s. Pop Will Eat Itself, Karma Drone. Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood by Elvis Costello. The KLF, Justified and Ancient. Classic stuff. Pretenders, I Go to Sleep. Dr. Feelgood, Down at the Doctor's. Classic early pub rock. I'm going to whiz through these. This is a nice 80s song, Feels Like Heaven by Fiction Factory. And then the rest are just odds and ends really, I think we'll leave those. Let me quickly show you some CDs that I picked up in 2019. What we're hearing in the background, I was chuffed to find this. This is LC by Doriti Collin, who is Vinnie Riley, guitar player who worked with Morrissey and a few other people, very kind of spacey. This is quite an influential album. It came out in the 1980s, and it's just him on guitar, and there's a percussionist on here as well, but it's very kind of floaty, very ambient. Quite a hard album to get. I picked it up from Oxfam, and it's about £5. Also from Oxfam, picked up a couple of Robin Hitchcock records, which I was quite pleased about. You don't often see them in the wild. This one is Black Snake Diamond Roll, which is his first album. Great record. Need to do a feature on Robin Hitchcock. Great English songwriter. A CD copy of his album I, which again, I mean, they both have tons and tons of bonus tracks on. Great value. This one, The Comet Is Coming, heard this being recommended by lots of people on the vinyl community this year and by friends of mine, so I thought I'd buy a copy of that. That's kind of full-on jazzy space rock, elements of techno here and there, but lots of saxophone. Great stuff. From Oxfam, my first Traffic album, that's John Barleycorn Must Die, which has a very bucolic, down the country kind of feel to it. Also quite jazzy as well. Van de Graaff Generator, Porn Heart, bit of absolutely ridiculously overblown British prog. Shades of David Bowie in the singing. John Bellamy and I were agreeing it sounds a bit like Diamond Dogs era Bowie. Treasure, quick shout out to Jim, the channel Vinyl Designs, is a big fan of theirs, so I thought I would grab a copy of that. Still working on the Cocteau Twins. They've never particularly grabbed me. I found them a bit too sort of jangly really, but I'm working on it. This is a good thing. This is a Graham Parker CD best of, lots of tracks on there. That was just a charity shop find. Dead Cheap. This is a record, a few people have shown this one on the VC this year. I know Rob Walker likes this bunch. This is Wooden Ships, which I suppose I'd characterise as modern psych, really. Very spacey, floaty music, lots of guitar pedals going on. Quite kind of dreamy and drony. Good stuff. And then finally these two, really thrilled to find these two. Picked these up from, can't think where I got these now. Two albums in one. This is The Impressions. The albums, The Impressions, Check Out Your Mind, and Times Have Changed. The Impressions, of course, being Curtis Mayfield's old band. Wonderful music. These two earlier albums, The Impressions and The Never Ending Impressions. So thrilled to find those two. So that's it. Lots and lots of music to listen to, lots and lots of stuff to take in, I know. I'm going to take a little break again from the vinyl community and from YouTube. There's lots going on in the next few weeks. I've got a lot on at work. I've got a lot of music to listen to. I do have some plans for the channel. I've got some ideas for videos and for things happening, but I'm going to wait a little while and just take a break again, take stock, and come back with batteries recharged. But wanted to get that update in to say Happy New Year. Thanks for all your support this year. I've had a wonderful year on the VC and on YouTube. Thanks to everybody who's watched and commented and given me support and friendship. Always appreciated. And I hope to be back before too long. Take care, folks. See you soon. Bye-bye.